Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Nur Natasha binti Muhammad Zaini and today I will present about directors. So what is directors? Refer to the Section 2 Subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2016 includes any person occupying the position of director of a corporation by whatever name called and includes a person in accordance with whose directions or instructions the majority of directors of a corporation are accustomed to act an alternate or substitute director. Next, I will present about the qualifications of directors. First, refer to the Section 196 Subsection 4 of the Companies Act 2016. The minimum number of directors Subsection A shall ordinarily reside in Malaysia by having a principal place of residence in Malaysia. Subsection B shall not include an alternate or substitute director. Second, under Section 198, Subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2016, a person shall not hold office as a director of a company or whether they directly or indirectly be concerned with or takes part in the management of a company. If the person, subsection A, is an undischarged bankrupt, subsection B, has been convicted of an offence relating to the promotion, formation or management of a corporation. Subsection C has been convicted of an offence involving bribery, fraud or dishonesty. Subsection D has been convicted of an offence under Sections 213, breach of fiduciary of a director, Section 217, breach of fiduciary duty of a nominee director, Section 218, improper use of company's information, his position, corporate opportunity or conflict of interest. Section 228, substantial value transaction involving director or substantial shareholder, and 539 and subsection 539, company's failure to keep proper account or wrongful trading. Or subsection E has been disqualified by the court under Section 199. Next, Section 198, Subsection 3 of the Companies Act 2016, notwithstanding Subsection 1, a person who has been disqualified under paragraph Subsection 1A may be appointed or hold office as a director with the leave of A, the official receiver, or the court, provided that a notice of intention to apply for leave has been served on the official receiver and the official receiver is heard on the application. Next, Section 198, Subsection 4 of the Companies Act 2016, notwithstanding Subsection 1, a person who has been disqualified under paragraph subsection 1B, C, D or E may be reappointed or hold office as a director with the leave of the court. Section 198 subsection 6 explains that those persons shall not be required to obtain a leave from court after the expiry of 5 years calculated from the date he is convicted, or if he is sentenced to imprisonment from the date of his release from prison. Last but not least, under Section 199 subsection 1, the court may, on an application by the registrar, make an order to disqualify any person from acting or holding office as a director or promoter of a company, or be concerned with or taking part in the management of a company, whether directly or indirectly. If A, within the last 5 years, the person has been a director of 2 or more companies which went into liquidation resulting from the company being insolvent due to his conduct as a director, which contributed wholly or partly to the liquidation. B, due to his contravention of the duties of a director. Or C, due to his habitual contravention of this act.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Alif Izwan bin Muhammad Azlan, ID student 2022819172. Today our group will be presenting a case study from the UiTM June 2019 examination. This case is centered on the topics of directors. Let's dive straight into the cases to understand the key issue and discuss possible solution. Part B, question 1. You have been appointed to the company secretary for Delta Berhad, a public listed company that was incorporated on the 5th of January 2017. And Zila are the first two directors of the company. The company financial year end is on 31st December. During the first board meeting, which was held on the 2nd February 2016, Alex, Audra, and Afhan were appointed as additional directors. The first AGM was held on the 30th of June 2017, and the subsequent AGM was fixed on 30 June every year. After the first AGM, Alex resigned from his position as a director and Tony was appointed to fill the casual vacancy on the 2nd of August 2017. On 17 January 2018, Ji Hoon and Tae Hia were appointed as independent directors. Few months later, the company received a special notice sent by shareholders to remove Zila as a director of the company. Due to the Due to this, an extraordinary general meeting EGM was held on 14 November 2018 to pass a resolution to move Zila, and on the same dates, Jelita was appointed to replace her. Moving on to the question 1A. The rules to be complied with in order to remove Zila. 1B. What are the requirements regarding the retirement and re-election of directors under the Companies Act 2016? And lastly, 1C. Sequence on retirement by rotation of directors in bracket 2017, 2018, and 2019. Moving on to the next slide.
Hi everyone, today I am Farzat Akmal binti Karano. Will be presenting on topic of legal rules and procedure to remove Zila as a director. Let's begin with the main issue. What are the legal rules and procedure to remove Zila as a director? This question focus on identifying the steps required under Malaysian law, specifically under the Companies Act 2016 to ensure the removal is conducted properly and lawfully. Moving on to the legal rules that must be followed, according to Section 206, Subsection 2 of the Companies Act 2016, a public company has the power to remove a director before the expiration of their tenure. This can be done through an ordinary resolution passed at a meeting, even if the company's constitution or prior agreements with the directors suggest otherwise. This section highlights the overriding authority of shareholder in removing a director as long as the process adhere to the Act. Next, we have Section 206 subsection 3 and 206 subsection 4 of the Act, which provide further guidelines for removing a director. Section 206 subsection 3 states that a special notice is required to propose a resolution for removing a director or appointing another person in their place during the same meeting. This ensures that shareholders and directors are adequately informed. Section 206 subsection 4 introduced a condition if the directors was appointed to represent a specific class of shareholders or specific class of debentures holders. The resolution to remove them will only take effect after a successor is appointed. These provisions protect the interests of the class being represented. Now let's look at two relevant cases, which is number 1, case Tuan Haji Ishak Ismail v. Leong Hub Holding Berhad 1996. This case confirmed that a public company can remove a director via an ordinary resolution, requiring a simple majority of shareholders. Meanwhile, case number 2, Solia Pan v. Lim Yok Fan 1968. This case highlights the importance of complying with the company's Article of Association (AOA) regarding notice requirement. A failure to adhere to proper notice procedure can invalidate both the director's removal and the appointment of successor. Section 207 ensures that directors being removed have the right to be heard. Once the company receives a special notice of the resolution, it must immediately send a copy to the director. The director is then allowed to present oral or written representation regarding their removal. If the director submits a written representation and requests it be shared with the members, the company must mention the representation in the notice of the resolution. And a copy of the representation must also be sent to all members provided it is not received too late. If the written representation is late or not distributed, the directors can request it be read aloud during the meetings. However, if the court finds this right is abused, the company may be exempt from sharing or reading the representation. Section 207 subsection 6 and Section 207 subsection 7 include two additional points, which is the court may order the cost of any application under subsection 5 to be paid by the director even if they are not directly involved in the applications. And as for private companies, their constitution may grant directors the same rights to be heard as those provided to directors in the public companies. In the case of Choi Chi-hong v. Kim Dong-bae and another 2009, the court emphasized that a director's right to be heard is mandatory. If this right is not provided, the removal process is considered null and void. This case highlights the importance of following Section 207 to ensure the validity of the removal. The process for removing Zila as a director includes the following steps, which is number 1, special notice. A shareholder must give a special notice to propose Zila's removal at the next annual general meeting or extraordinary general meeting as required by Section 207 subsection 3. And second, notice to director. The company must send Zila a copy of the special notice, ensuring she is informed of the resolution. Third one, board meeting for annual general meeting. If the removal is during an AGM, the board must set the date, venue, and issue the AGM notice, complying with Section 314 subsection 2. If it was for an EGM, the board must convene a meeting within 21 days of the requisition as per Section 311 subsection 1 to authorize necessary preparation. Continuing the process, director representation. Zila has the right to make representation and request they be shared with shareholders under Section 206 subsection 2. Next, distribution of representation. If received before the notice, her representation must be included with it. If late, it must still be sent to shareholders as per Section 207 subsection 3. And next, Bursa Malaysia. For listed companies, a copy of their representations must also be sent to Bursa Malaysia following paragraph 15.05 subsection 5 of the listing requirements. Next, late representation. If representation are late or not sent, Zila can request they be read out during the meeting. Then, resolution pass. If the resolution is passed, Zila is removed from the board as per Section 206 subsection 1. Finally, the company must complete this step, which is Bursa Malaysia announcement. The company needs to announce Zila removal to Bursa Malaysia immediately as required by paragraph 15.05 subsection 5 of the listing requirements, and then to submit form section 58 to the Companies Commissions of Malaysia CCM within 14 days. Lastly, the company need to update the register of directors to reflect the change as required by Section 58 subsection 2. In conclusion, the removal of Zila as a director involved clear legal rules and procedure, adhering to the Companies Act 2016 and ensuring Zila's rights are upheld is crucial to maintain the process validity and fairness. Thank you for your attention, and I am happy to answer any question.
Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon to Sir Fadirul and all friends. My topic is on the question 1B. The question is, what are the requirements regarding the retirement and re-election of directors under the Companies Act 2016? Retirement for public company under Section 205 subsection 3 until 6. At the first annual general meeting of public company, all directors shall retire from office at the conclusion of the meeting. At the AGM in every subsequent year, one-third of the directors for the time being shall retire from office at the conclusion of the meeting. Public listed companies under BMLR 7.28 states that the Constitution must provide for election of directors every year and all directors must retire every 3 years but eligible for re-election. Under Section 205, Subsection 4, the directors to retire in every year shall be the directors who have been longest in the office since the director's last election. But as between persons who became directors on the same day, the directors to retire shall be determined by lot unless they otherwise agreed among themselves. Under Section 205, Subsection 5, a retiring director shall be eligible for re-election as if he is not disqualified. Lastly, under Section 205, Subsection 6, unless otherwise provided in the Constitution, the company may appoint any person who is not disqualified under this Act to fill in the vacancy at the annual general meeting at which the directors to retires. And if no appointment was made to fill the vacancy, the retiring director shall deem to have been re-elected unless at the meeting the company expressly resolved not to fill the vacated office or a resolution for the re-election of the director is put to the meeting and lost. So in application, if a company's first AGM was held on the 30th June 2017, Section 205 subsection 2 mandates that directors retire and each subsequent AGM, one-third of directors must retire by rotation under Section 205 subsection 3. Directors who retire are eligible for re-election unless the company's constitution provides otherwise. For public listed companies, compliance with BMLR 7.28 ensures that all directors must retire every 3 years and are eligible for re-election. Managing directors are exempt from rotation, but they must retire every 3 years as per the Bursa Malaysia rules. The ability to appoint new directors during the year allows flexibility in board composition, ensuring that companies can respond to changes as needed. Move on to the conclusion. In conclusion, the directors must retire by rotation in accordance with Section 205, Subsection 3 of the Companies Act 2016. They are eligible for re-elected unless the company's constitution provides differently or shareholders vote otherwise. Third schedule of paragraph 23 stated that the managing directors may not be subject to retirement by rotation, but for the listed company, managing directors is subject to retire by rotation once in every 3 years.
Question 1C. Issue. Prepare a schedule showing the sequences on retirement by rotation of directors for the year 2017, 2018, and 2019. First thing first, according to the section 205 of the Companies Act 2060, at the first annual general meeting (AGM) of a public company, all directors must retire from office. In subsequent AGMs, one-third of the directors are required to retire by rotation. If the number of directors is not a multiple of 3, the nearest number to one-third must retire. The directors who have served the longest since their last election are the ones to retire first. In cases where two or more directors were elected on the same day and there is a tie, the retirement is determined by lot unless the director otherwise agree. This process ensures regular rotation and accountability of the board of directors in managing the company. Moving on to the next slide. Moving on to the sequence on retirement by rotation of directors in 2017, 2018, and 2019. At the first annual general meeting (AGM) held on 30 June 2017, all directors were required to retire as per Section 205 of the Companies Act 2016. This is because the law mandates that at the first AGM of a public company, all directors must retire regardless of how long they have served in office. The director at this time were Zaki, Zila, Alex, Audra, and Afan. All directors retired at the conclusion of the meeting, but they were eligible for re-election. Moving on to the next AGM, which is in 30 June 2018. At the second AGM held on 30 June 2018, one-third of the directors required to retire by rotation. Since the total number of directors at this point was 6, the nearest one-third was 2 directors. The changes that occurred since the first AGM included Alex's resignation on the 2nd August 2017, the appointment of Tony to fill Alex's casual vacancy, and the appointment of Ji Hoon and Teha as independent directors on 17 January 2018. Based on Section 205 subsection 4, the directors who has served the longest since their last election were required to retire. Since Zaki and Zila were appointed at the time of incorporation on 5th January 2017, they were the longest serving directors and thus retired by rotation. Both were eligible for re-election. Moving on to the next slide. At the third AGM held on 30 June 2019, one-third of the directors were again required to retire by rotation. By this time, the total number of directors was 5 following the retirement of Zaki and Zila in 2018. The remaining directors were Tony, Audrey and Afan, Ji Hoon and Teha. Since one-third of 5 directors equal 2 directors, the directors who have served the longest since their last election were required to retire. In this case, Tony and Audrey, having served their longest since their appointment or re-election, retired by rotation. Both were eligible for re-election. So that's all for me. Thank you.
To conclude this topic, directors as defined under the Companies Act 2016 are individuals responsible for overseeing a company's management and governance. They must meet specific qualifications such as residing in Malaysia and avoiding disqualifications like bankruptcy or criminal convictions, unless permitted otherwise. Directors of public companies can be removed via an ordinary resolution with the right to be heard, following strict procedural requirements. Additionally, directors must retire by rotation, with one-third retiring annually after the first AGM, ensuring accountability and compliance with shareholder interests. These provisions promote transparency, corporate governance and alignment with regulatory standards, especially for public and listed companies.